High School's
School Report
with Gregor
and Beth. Swiss bus tragedy. Yesterday, disaster struck a number of families as a school bus crashed while heading home from a ski trip. Most of the casualties were children. This crash had killed 28 people who were on the bus, including 22 children. The bus was heading down the A9 to Sion in the Valais region. Distraught families has rushed to St. Lambertus School in Heverlee and the Sketzy School in Lommel in Belgium to hear news about their loved ones. Other families flew out to the region of the crash, not knowing if their loved ones would still be alive in Switzerland. The crash was described as horrific by the emergency services. The hospital has not been able to inform relatives of details concerning specific casualties, as those who have been killed have not been identified. The Swiss Parliament declared that the day of the crash will be remembered by a 1-minute silence.
Funds for young people. An £8.9 million fund has been set up to help raise money for dormant bank accounts. This money will be used to support youth unemployment.
The Big Lottery Fund, known as BIG or BIG, has developed the idea.
The fund is aimed at helping 8 to 24-year-olds become more confident and connected with the older people of the community.
It has been seen as a way of preparing them for getting a job or starting a business.
The money comes from dormant bank and building society accounts, which has had no customer activity for the past 15 years.
Finance Secretary John Swinney said, "I'm pleased that communities across Scotland will have the chance to benefit from the Young Start programme, which is distributing Scotland's share of dormant bank and building society monies."
Grants of between £10,000 and £50,000 are given for schemes such as work experience, sports, art and technology projects.
Edinburgh Library closures. Edinburgh City Council plans to reduce library opening hours by approximately 20% have been rethought. 6 libraries were set to open only 6 days a week, and others were planned to close earlier in the day. The closures were estimated to save the council a massive £550,000.
As a result of the protest of over 10,000 residents, the council has been forced to respond by changing their plans, and Edinburgh libraries have been granted an extra £300,000 from city reserves.
The Sunday opening times will remain in some of Edinburgh's libraries.
Many locals have said there is a great demand for library use and have been concerned any cut in library uses would hit self-education and affect child adversary reading.
Broughton High School librarian Miss Moira Payton had expressed her concerns about the proposed cuts.
Children after school might need to use the library to study if they don't have the facilities at home. Thursday late evenings would be a great thing for these people, and now it might be hard because of the cuts obviously taking the Thursday late evenings away. So this could affect in exams perhaps. What do you think about this?
I absolutely agree. I think it's really important. I mean, school libraries do our best, but I'm open till 4 o'clock. Which means there's still whole evenings where people might need access to books and computers and resources. And I think people assume that every single kid has lots of internet access and computer access at home, but that's not always the case, and it's not right to make that assumption. So I think having a library that's free and open for access is really important.
The changes to the council's plans seem to have brought about in part by campaigns led by authors such as Julia Donaldson, writer of the popular children's book The Gruffalo, and Ian Banks, whose novel The Wasp Factory received critical acclaim.
Cycle safety in Edinburgh. A 4th Edinburgh cycling fatality in the space of a year has led to renewed calls for improvements in safety for cyclists.
This time the victim was a man cycling to work in rush hour and went into a collision with a taxi.
MSP Alice Johnson called for local authorities, cycle groups and road users to get together to discuss a new approach. She said cycling is a generally safe activity, and the best way to improve safety is to get more people on their bikes.
She then added that Edinburgh streets need to be redesigned to make them safer for cyclists. She called for a safety summit to be held as soon as possible to see what changes could be made to make Scotland a leader for safety cyclists.
Representatives of Edinburgh authorities, including councillors and police, had been invited to Broughton High School, where people took the opportunity to raise the questions of cycle safety. A spokesperson for the police talked of the possibility of a safe corridor which could separate motorists from cyclists.
Edinburgh councillor Leslie Howans spoke about new investment.
And at the last Neighbourhood Partnership kind of open afternoon we had, cycling came up a lot. I think a lot of people are seeing it as an option, and it is about being safer, but also safe for pedestrians as well, and that whole issue about how can you be safe. But I also have to, it's not a political point, because I think that the administration for once they've committed themselves to 5% of the capital and the revenue budget to spend on cycling, which is the first authority to do that. I'm not quite sure how it's going to be paid for, I'm still trying to find that out, but I think it's a good part to say that in fact part of your budget, a certain percentage, should be spent on cycling, and that means there'll be then more and more investment, and I think all parties probably would agree that's the way we should go forward. So in fact Edinburgh is ahead of everyone else in Scotland for their...
Ian Maxwell of the Cycle Campaign spoke. He has asked for an increase in driver education in combination with greater provision on main roads for cyclists. Ian Maxwell of the Cycle Campaign spokes has asked for an increase in driver education in combination with greater provision on main roads for cyclists.
A young Scottish band is breaking out into the music scene and is tipped for big success in 2012. The Scopel is an all-male band that consists of 3 members, Fergus Cook, Laura Corlett-Donald and Dave Lloyd, all former pupils of Broughton High and Edinburgh Music School, who describe themselves as a babyface trio. The band, whose music is described as electro-indie, began performing last year and were quickly picked to perform at Team the Park spot for new talent. They have already gained a large following in Japan, where they released their album, and they have been mixing and writing new songs while playing live festivals all around the country. In December, they performed their first European concert at the island of Malta. Asked about their reaction to being selected for Team the Park, they said it was actually better than they expected and they had so much fun, and we went down with the crowd so much better than we could have dreamed of. Their singles Lofty Ambitions and Xenophobia have been praised by music magazines such as NME, who have predicted stardom for the band this year.
There was good news today from a pupil of Broughton High School. Ellen of S1, she won first prize in a junior category for a major art competition. We sent Tida along to interview.
Today we have Ellen. She has won first prize for an expressive self-portrait of herself at the Royal Scottish Academy, where there were over 600 entries. When did you first become interested in art?
Probably this year.
Why did you enter the competition?
But my art teacher did it for me.
What are you going to spend your prize money on?
I'm not sure, probably a new phone.
And what plans do you have for the future, and does it include art?
I want to work with animals, so probably not, no.
What inspires you?
My art teacher, I guess.
How many entries were there from Broughton?
About 30, I think.
Thank you. Now I'll send you back to the studio.
Thanks, Tida, and well done, Ellen. Now I'm going to pass you on to Sean for the latest sport.
Hello, here's the sport with myself, Sean. Last night, Chelsea were playing Napoli at Stamford Bridge, hoping to overturn a 3-1 deficit from the first leg to earn a place in the last 8 of the Champions League. Goals from Ivanovic, Terry, Drogba and a penalty from Lampard made sure there is an English club for the last 8 for the 6th year running. Moving on, Manchester United play Athletic Bilbao, having to overturn a 3-2 deficit against a strong Athletic side that outplayed them in the first leg at Old Trafford. In racing, at Cheltenham, Finian's Rainbow won by 1 1/4 lengths in the Queen's Mother Champion Chase. In boxing, David Chisora has also revealed that he will not be appealing the decision to remove his boxing licence, but has vowed to fight on and become a boxing champion. That's the sport.
Thank you, Sean, for the sport.
Now to Shay with the weather.
Good afternoon, and here's the weather for today and the forthcoming weekend. The weather this morning throughout the UK has been largely cloudy, with outbreaks of rain over north and west Scotland. Over the eastern half of Scotland, sunny outbreaks are forecast over Inverness. Along the central belt, we are expecting temperatures up to 12 degrees Celsius. As we move down towards England and around the southeast towards London, temperatures are due to rise to 16 degrees Celsius with sunny intervals. In Wales, temperatures in Cardiff will drop as low as 7 degrees Celsius. Along the west, it will feel mild with temperatures reaching as high as 11 degrees Celsius. Heavy rain will fall on Friday over the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland, and then clear up over the weekend for 2 sunny days. The rest of the UK is looking light cloud cover with a possibility of showers over parts of England and Wales and temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees Celsius. And now back to the studio.
Thank you for watching.
See you the same time tomorrow.